going on, everybody? Welcome back on into the Space Cowboy Show. I'm your host, Ricardo, and we already talked about the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and the free agents that they're going to have in 2026. If you missed that video, you can go check it right up here. But now we want to focus in on the defensive side of the ball. You have a new defensive coordinator in Christian Parker, and we need to see what guys are set to hit the open market this upcoming offseason to see what level of importance we have for some of these guys, or we just let them walk. Before we get into today's video, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell. It helps out the channel a lot in the YouTube algorithm. Also, the show is powered by Crushman Media, so if you haven't done so already, please go check out the other shows on the Crushman Media Network. Now, getting into this list with the Dallas Cowboys and their defensive free agents, again, the unrestricted free agents, it's not as intensive as we would think. So looking at this list, it's not a long list, and the names on here aren't so impactful where if you lose one of these guys, it's going to be a problem, which also highlights something I'll talk about later in the video. But getting back to the point where who should the Cowboys look to re-sign out of this list, who should they let walk? I think it's pretty easy to go through these defensive free agents and say who needs to walk and who needs to stay. Now, starting things off with the defensive end room, it's pretty easy to see who you need to bring back. The four guys that are on the list that you need to think about bringing back are Jadeveon Clowney, Peyton Turner, Sam Williams, and Dante Fowler. Out of those four, the only name that I'm willing to consider bringing back, if the money is right, is Jadeveon Clowney. But I want to be very clear, Jadeveon Clowney shouldn't be a guy that is your leading sack leader and, more importantly, one of your better defensive ends. And that's not saying that he's not good or he's a terrible player. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm saying is you could do better than a guy that's in his mid-30s that is on the back end of his career. It's having guys like that that's really important for you, mainly for the veteran presence and having that depth, but not as a guy that is starter quality. I think you can also look at a guy like James Houston as another example of this. Yes, he is not as old as Jadeveon Clowney, but having those veteran guys that can give you solid production when they're called upon is something that you're going to need. So by bringing back a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, you keep a veteran presence in the room, and he'll have a full off season with the Cowboys to get things under him. And I think that he's not going to be expensive on the open market, to be honest with you. And knowing with what the Cowboys currently have with the list of free agents, they are going to need to spend money on this defense, and they have the ability to, as I've highlighted in another video. Next, going over to your linebackers, you have two guys that are set to hit the open market. Those are Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn. I really don't need to highlight much on this other than the fact that those two were extremely detrimental to your defense, and I think that you can do a lot better in that room. The main thing is that you were expecting these guys to bring you quality production in that linebacker room, especially when DeMarvion Overshown wasn't there. And for a guy like Kenneth Murray, the fact that he was still getting played over a guy like Logan Wilson, which I'm not saying that Logan Wilson is a fantastic player as a linebacker, but you made the acquisition to acquire him, and you still were playing a guy like Kenneth Murray over him, and it felt like that this has everything to do with your coaching staff, Matt Eberflus, not knowing what to do. And the last position is cornerback. You have your special teams ace in CJ Goodwin and Corey Ballantyne. I'm not really concerned about those particular guys. They'll probably be brought back on minimal deals if they are to be brought back like they normally are. But again, going back and talking about where the Cowboys defense is, this is not an extensive list. The only guy that I would say that you need to bring back that is a defensive player for you, not a special teams guy, even though special teams do matter, is Jadeveon Clowney. All these other guys can walk. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because this showcases that the Dallas Cowboys have to utilize resources to build up this defense. There are going to be plenty of players, from depth pieces to starter quality free agents, that will be out there on the open market, and the Cowboys are going to need to spend. I've already talked about how much money that the Dallas Cowboys can open up. I'm not saying they have to open up all of that money whatsoever. But you cannot be serious if you think this defense does not need anything else in the room. Yes, you're most likely going to utilize your premier draft picks to get talent onto this team. I understand that. But that's not going to be enough. There is a debate on what the Cowboys should look to prioritize in free agency. Now, if it were up to me, I think they should prioritize the edge room. I think that you need to add one or two guys that are going to come in here and are going to be productive players for you. That way, you can go into the draft with flexibility. If you happen to land on an edge rusher, that's fantastic. But knowing how things are really shaping up this draft season, you're probably going to end up taking a cornerback and a linebacker in the first round, unless one of these premier edge rushers falls to you at pick 12, or you go with another guy at pick 20. I don't know exactly what the Cowboys are going to target in free agency, but at a later date, we'll talk about guys they should look to target, because on the offensive side of the ball, you're more or less set. I understand that when I say that, people think that that means they don't have to do anything else on the offensive side of the ball. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is that there are tweaks that you can make to help the offense do better, whether it be finding a better right tackle in the open market or someone else on your team, whether that means upgrading your backup tight end position, things like that. Those are the things on offense that you need to work on, are the little tweaks here and there, which I'm not trying to say that finding a new right tackle isn't something that's not prevalent. But defensively, it's clear that's where the work needs to be done for the Cowboys. And if they're not willing to use the resources in free agency, or if they want to go acquire more players via trade, 2026 is going to be dead on arrival for the Cowboys. And so with that, again, looking at this list, the only guy that I'm really concerned of them bringing back, not really concerned whatsoever, more so just if you bring him back, that's cool, and you probably should look to bring him back, is Jadeveon Clowney. Everyone else can walk. So with that being said, guys, who do you think the Cowboys should prioritize bringing back that are set to hit the open market? I'm curious what you guys have to say. Should they all walk? Should they bring back a couple guys that maybe I'm being too harsh on? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.